So, hi, John. It's
Hello.
so nice to talk to you again. Last time we met was in 2009 in Beijing for Tiger Translate, and now,
Oh yeah,
12 years later, you're there living in Brooklyn and with
here
a
we
huge
are.
Instagram following of over 100,000. And you've
Bless
done
bless
so
them
much.
all.
You've done so much, published books. You've just done a Skillshare. You've had your work on so many different things, and
It's
you
true.
also, I feel, have such a want to give back so much, do so much, like in terms of, I feel like educational stuff, and I really love that and appreciate that for my own children. So going just you're one of the artists as part of Singapore Art Week as our amazing sticker exhibition, and people have been using your sticker in their own stories, which are now being shown on bus shelters thanks to Clear Channel.
Oh
uh,
wow.
yeah, have you seen some of those stories, or how does it feel to see your little character pop up in other people's stories halfway across the world?
Well, it's very humbling. It's very flattering. I have seen some of them. The ones I've seen have been pretty funny and inventive, and I think that's the joy for me is that you, like a lot of things, you make it and then you put it out into the world, and then people interpret it and they see things that you couldn't ever imagine you know seeing with it or using it. So with the stickers it's great because it means people's environments become their playground, and they can put things, my stickers or their own stickers or other art stickers, and they can manipulate what's around them and turn it into something delightful or funny or interesting or anything they want to say. I think that's so exciting to be able to do that with what we tend to think of as the everyday,
Yeah,
things we're familiar with. So it makes us see the world afresh, and that's a wonderful thing.
it is, and I think it's something that you've been doing for such a long time, and it's second nature to you. Um, when I look through some of your work, it's really like you often start doing things without knowing where they're heading, and you tend to think as you draw.
Hmm.
It's so amazing that you have that kind of process. Um, Also, you've always kind of involved people in what you do, and often creating things and then showing it with people, or like selling things in the markets and in the streets in Chinatown that you've made, or the little Jeff Koons Play-Doh thing.
Oh
Um,
yes, yeah, yeah.
and now you've done your Skillshare, and during lockdown you did. It's great to create little a series on YouTube. How how does it feel that you're kind of teaching people or passing on ideas or creativity to people? And I see that you're doing that for kids and maybe for adults. How has the feedback been? And do you think it's easier for kids to get more creative than for
Okay, well,
adults?
the feedback's been really great. It's always wonderful if anyone sees it and responds to it. And I get some emails from grown-ups and from children saying that they have enjoyed the videos, or they've enjoyed the activities, or here's something they've made. That's really wonderful. I'm only sort of sharing things that I find interesting, and in a way I'm not trying to teach anyone, I'm trying to retain it for myself. And by doing that I'm saying, look, this is how I made something. It helps sort of imprint it on me a little bit and remind me how I made these things, or just the delight you can have with simple things. And I don't know if it's. I think it's easier for kids because up until a certain point, they're not laden down with self-consciousness and thinking something's good or bad. They're just very free to explore what a material can do, whether it's a pen on a piece of paper, or paint, or paper mache, or clay, or anything. We're just saying, oh, how does this work? And that's really exciting. And I think as we get a bit older, we start seeing, well, this is how it should look, and this is how someone else did it. And then you start measuring yourself to those standards, and you start thinking, oh no, mine isn't quite as good as that. And that's what happens as we get older. And I think sometimes, yeah, adults then limit themselves. Well, that's not for me. I can't do that. I tried it once. It didn't look like that one. I won't do it again. And then we start to narrow in. And it's really sad to see that. In a way, I mean, a lot of creativity things are aimed at children, and they're the people that need it the least. It's the grown-ups, it's the young adults. It's that point when you get to that age where you don't want to show anyone your drawings. A little kid, oh look what I made. They're so delighted. I think that's what I'm trying to do. Is look what I made. I'm surprised myself. So yeah, I think it's the adults that need help in that regard.
And can an adult who doesn't consider themselves creative change that perception through regular exercises or activities? And what would they need to do?
Yeah, of course they can. I think like it's an innate human thing, like singing or dancing, or deciding what clothes you want to wear, or combing your hair. Like they're all innate choices um, of sharing who we are and what we like and what our taste is, and it's done through a creative, performance in a way. So if you can do any of those things, you can be creative with art materials, and just start simply, and like don't and try and dispel the notion of like wrong or right or good or bad, and just be delighted in the material. I mean, that's something that I'm always excited to use new materials that I'm not very familiar with, because then you can delight on how something, how paint bleeds into each other, or how clay might dry and change, or like just enjoy that, like the process of making, and care less about how it will end up. I think we're obsessed with the final product, but actually there is, like, if you're singing or dancing and stuff, there is no final thing. It's just a process of that performance. And visual art can be the same thing.
So John, can we talk
I
about
would say.
you as little John? I think I read that you grew up in Middle England as a middle child. Is that
That's
right?
right. I grew up in Birmingham, in the middle of, yeah, Great Britain.
So what role did your upbringing have in who you are today? And did you get your sense of humor from your parents?
Well, we're all products of our upbringings, right? My mum was a bit creative, and she studied art for a little bit, so I guess I was sort of inspired by her. And before my younger brother was born, there was a spare room in our house, and that was my mum's studio. And so I had a little desk in there as well. So I had a little studio there, and I have a very vague memory of drawing on colored paper with like oil pastels or something. That all disappeared when my brother was born, unfortunately. So, but yeah, I can remember I was always into stuff like that. I like comics and animations and cartoons, and just making stuff. Art was my favorite like lesson at school. So I don't know. I guess I have that in my DNA, maybe from my mum. And yeah, my dad is quite goofy. I think quite funny. I think his personality is always to try and make a joke, probably at an inappropriate time. I think that's probably where I get that from. So yeah, but I had a happy childhood trying to make stuff, and I was. Yeah, always had little projects of my own. I don't know why I was into those things. I don't know where I thought they would lead me, but yeah, I always enjoyed that kind of thing.
Did you always want to be an artist?
Well, I mean, not really. I was okay at drawing, so kids at school would be like, "Oh, you'll be an artist," but no, none of us, an 8-year-old doesn't know really what an artist necessarily does. Maybe they do now. We had no idea back then. So I was like, "Yeah, I'll be an artist." No idea what that would entail. I didn't know what kind of art I would make. How the notion of earning money through making it. Even when I studied fine art at university, by the time I graduated, none of us really had an idea how we would earn money from making art, unless you had an exhibition and someone saw something on the wall and bought it. How else can you do anything? It was only a little bit later, after I graduated in the early 2000s, where oh, you can paint something and it can be a record cover, or you can paint something and it can go on a t-shirt, or you can make your own stickers or your own merchandise, or you can yeah, there's all these other little avenues where creative people can do stuff. And now I think I have a better understanding. Like I think people in general know that you can make comics, or you could do concept design for movies, or you could be a fashion designer. You could do all these different things. But back then it was a much narrow understanding of what it was going to be. I hoped I would do something creative. I had no
Mm.
real idea what that might be. That or a Ghostbuster. That was my ambition.
So technology, I think when I first met you, it wasn't so no one was really using Instagram like they are now. And I think what's amazing is you seem to have really embraced social media and done so well at growing your profile through that. How do you maintain a healthy relationship with technology now?
Well, the technology is not the problem, is it? Like the technology is amazing. Look at us chatting online, and the fact we all have these little cameras and video cameras and stuff in our pockets, and we can draw, and so that's all great. I think social media is designed to make us go back and recheck it, and it's actually a little problematic, I would say, and it's easy to get sucked into that. The important thing for me is to remember it's not everything. It's not complete real life. It is a facet of being a professional artist, creative type, that you might have to share stuff, and it can be very fun. It can be engaging. You can chat to people and connect with people all over the world, and that's fantastic. But yeah, you need to maintain some sort of disciplined use of it, and it's difficult because these apps are not really encouraging of that. So there is a little conflict arises, and I know a lot of people get sucked in and very obsessed by it. And there's metrics that we then decide, well, this score is low, so I'm sad, and the score is high, and I'm happy, and that's terrible. I'm as guilty of feeling all those things as everyone else, because that's how they've been designed. Um, it's important to take some time off. I try not to do that stuff on the weekends. I try and have an idea of what I want to put it on there, and then go, rather than just
Mm.
sort of endlessly scroll around and just, oh, should I post something? Like try and treat it more as like a little thing, that a little project. Oh, I'm going to make something, and it would work well on there, and then put it on there, and then. But I mean, everyone finds their own way. I mean, a lot of people have very successful careers from just putting stuff on there all the time, and that makes me kind of feel a bit old, because I think I've missed the boat on that a little bit. Like if I was 15 years younger or so, or more. But so it's not intuitive for me to like always do that. I'm quite happy not to. But yeah, for younger people, I know there's a lot more pressure to it. But there's a whole other world of stuff out there, and I take a lot of encouragement from, there are artists that I really love, or people I discover on there. I think they're making fantastic things, and they have very small audiences,
Mm.
and they're not the big mega stuff. And I think, wow, you don't need crazy numbers on there to make good work. The good work comes from here or here, and it's just this other thing. And some people's work looks great on a tiny screen, and some people's, some projects and some people's work doesn't. So I don't know. I tell myself that if I put something on there and it doesn't do well, then I
Mm.
just think, well, it's a little ahead of its time. It's new to me, so it's going to take people a little longer to get into whatever it is that thing is. So I don't know, but yeah, context and thing. It is difficult. But just remember, there are fantastically talented people making books and art and projects, and then they're not very popular on those things. It depends what you want. You want to be famous, or you want to be good at something, or you want to have fun making things. You can't have all of these stuff. So decide what's most important to you.
Well, I think that's great
That was a
advice.
bit of a bit of an overload, but yeah.
Not really. I think it's a topic that maybe people struggle with, and I think you gave some really, really good advice there. Um,
Oh, thanks.
so,
Well, yeah.
John, I want to ask. So, we were just going back to people wanting to instill a bit of creativity in their everyday lives. What
hmm
would you recommend that they can do?
what would I suggest they could do? Buy a sketchbook or something, or a load of paper, get some cheap materials, get a pen, draw what you can see, draw what you like. You don't have to show anyone. It's a sketchbook. You can close the cover, you put it away. It's something just for you. Just I don't know, to follow the things you're interested in. You know, if you're into certain characters and things, maybe practice drawing them. Like you have a favorite show or something, or you know, if you, it depends what you want to make. But start simple. Start with just a marker pen on a piece of paper. You don't need expensive materials, and sort of follow your instinct. Like if you find yourself enjoying doing something, then that's a really good sign. That means, you know, keep doing it. That's even if it doesn't look the way you want it to look, or whatever, it's okay. And I think that's a really important thing, because there's always ups and downs in creating stuff, and it's like if you're enjoying it, it's going to help give you more momentum for when you have a down and you have to come back up again, I think. So no one makes masterpiece after masterpiece. So like, give yourself a break. I don't know, watch some of my videos, you might get some ideas from that. Like, I don't know, but identify the things you like, what it is you like about them, and see if you can do something in a similar way.
Got it.
And
Great.
ultimately, when you get a bit better, find your own thing. It's like learning an instrument, right? You might learn some Beatles songs on the guitar to understand the chords, but ultimately you want to write your own songs. It's the same with art.
Great. Thank you. And John, as a last question,
Yeah.
what any books or movies or cartoons that you can recommend?
Oh, I mean, there's so many. Let's say cartoons, because I've been watching a bunch of cartoons recently. I've enjoyed Apple and Onion on Cartoon Network, and Summer Camp Island also on Cartoon Network, or HBO Max over here. There's a really great show called Infinity Train. I don't know if you've seen that. It's kind of like a sci-fi show, for kids, but it's also actually quite sophisticated and quite smart. That's really good if you can find it. Animated show. There's
Yeah.
free good recommend. Oh, there's a really great show called Primal, for a slightly older audience, about a caveman and a dinosaur. It's beautiful, it's brutal, it's visceral, it's incredible. I think you should check that out, Primal. I'm doing quite well. Normally when people ask me this kind of stuff, my brain goes blank.
I put
So
you on the spot. You're doing
yeah,
very well.
but there you go. I think
That's,
those things are all really, really good.
that's
I
perfect.
recommend.
Well, that's it, John. I mean, it's been so inspiring talking to you, and so nice after so long to see you so well in such a nice studio that is not shared with your mum.
That's true. It's my own room. Yay!
It's wonderful. Yeah.
Well,
I
thank you
love
very
it.
much. Yeah, lovely to see you and chat to you. And
Oh,
thanks for involving me in the sticker projects as well.
no, we'll continue involving you in all our projects.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Have a nice evening, John, and thank you so much.
All right. I'll see you another, not hopefully sooner than 12 years.
Okay, well, we have emails since then, but yes. See you,
All
John,
right.
and thank
See
you.
you soon.
Bye.
Bye.